have some vibes, 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 vibes. Some vibes, some vibes, some vibes. Heart and soul, taking control. Inside the festival you will find it. Heart and soul, taking control. Inside the festival you will find it.
Welcome to another episode of Inside the Festival with Dahlia from Bahamas Carnival Guide and the one and only Mixtress Africa Allah. Today we welcome Cordero from CO Entertainment in the studio.
Hi.
Hi,
And don't forget today's show is
Welcome.
brought to you in part by Bahamas Carnival FETE Weekend and The Print Shop. So Cordero, you are the owner and proprietor of CO Entertainment. Tell us a little bit about CO Entertainment.
Well, CO Entertainment is a promotional company that this year will mark 10 years that it's been in existence. CO started off as just an idea to bring entertainment to a more of a mature, professional kind of crowd and the older crowd. Try to merge it and create magic, and over the last, I could say, about 7 years, I was able to do that. So I got an atmosphere that I have the young professional people together and then the grown mature people together. So that's a pretty good thing.
That's excellent. Can you tell us a little bit about the product that you have for Bahamas Carnival FETE Weekend? What's on the docket for CO Entertainment?
We have Hello Moving Cooler Cruise that we've been doing for a number of years, which will be held on June 6th of this year, which will be Labor Day weekend, the Friday, which is on a holiday, so that'll be good. Hello Moving Cooler Cruise of being a staple in the FETE scene for Bahamas Carnival from the second year, which was 2016, and it was well attended from inception. So we're looking forward to continue that legacy of the FETE. Every year we try to change it and give it a little bit of a different flair. Last year we had the pool on board. Actually, it's on the water with a pool. I don't know what we're gonna do this year, but I'll figure something out as the time goes by.
Tell us a little bit about choosing to go from Hello Moving Cooler FETE to Hello Moving Cooler Cruise.
Well, that comes because of here in the Bahamas, we allowed some entertainment companies and promoters to actually use the name and created some bad experience for the name because they are not really soca people. If you know, it's only soca people really use FETE. And during the hype time of Bahamas Carnival in the beginning, 2015, 16, and 17, and 18, the FETE name really garnered so much attention and attendance was really up with when the real soca event was put on, and then we had some other people who is not really carnivalists or people who know about FETs. They started using the name and they created some big events with it, and a lot of incidents happened where people were actually hurt and a lot of fights and stuff happened. So right now the name, and you mentioned the name, for people who don't know, they thinking it's one of those kind of events. So I just thought it was good just to move the FETE from there and just put cruise there instead of Hello Moving Cooler FETE.
That's interesting because we talk a lot about, what is a FETE versus a regular party, what constitutes like a carnival FETE, and what makes the difference between, like you said, these other parties that are using the name FETE but don't have the spirit of what carnival is and what a real FETE really is like. So can you tell us a little bit about what your customers can experience on Hello Moving Cooler Cruise?
Well, our customers could experience a really dynamic and exciting event. We definitely have international hosts, two international DJs. It's always a vibe. We give customers the ultimate options where they can choose to bring their coolers for those who want to, who like to have their drinks right there at their disposal. And then we also have the people who probably don't want to bring coolers. We also have a cash bar where you could actually buy your drinks. And then for those who want to just drink with no limit and just don't want to be going back and forth to bar or going down the cooler, we have an all-inclusive section where they could just be and just drink all night. Great top shelf premium liquor.
That's something that you added recently, right? The all-inclusive option.
Yeah, the all-inclusive drinks was something that I added recently because some people say, I don't want to. Some people always say they don't want to tow coolers, and some people say, I don't want to be back and forth getting a chip or a ticket to go to the the bar. So I said I'll just experiment with it. Just, well, people, they just pay and then they could just be up to an area where a bar is, and all the bartenders got to do is just mix drinks. So it helps everything to move faster. And actually last year it sold out. I limited to a certain amount of people and it sold out. So I guess that really was a great addition to the cruise.
I don't know.
So recently there was an event in the Bahamas, and they had a Bahamian entertainer that experienced death silence. When it comes to pushing and supporting Bahamian artists, how important is that in the production of your products?
Well, with that incident there with the Bahamian artists who experienced that silence, I think because of the genre that was being displayed, they felt like his music don't align with the genre that was being displayed. So I think with our Rake and Scrape or Soca, he will have been well received. I just think that a lot of people just thought that wasn't a place in the time. That wasn't a place in the time for that. On my event, most definitely that it will be received because my event is a soca-based event, and then it's actually in the Bahamas. So Rake and Scrape Soca is something that you'll hear and people will enjoy. So I think on my event, most definitely he would have got a big ovation. But I just think in that instance with the event that he got the silent treatment, I just feel like people just feel like he was in it wasn't a place for him over on that side.
We have been speaking candidly off air about various aspects of the entertainment industry in the Bahamas. Recently, there was a post on social media from a popular personality talking about the price points and the overcharging of artists and entertainers traveling into the Bahamas and people accepting those things. What are some of the ways that you kind of address those without adding fuel to the industry or flames to the industry?
Well, I think we just need to get back to negotiating like how we used to, because you can't the Bahamas is a wealthy place. At the end of the day, our numbers are small, especially here in Nassau compared to big cities like in New York, Miami, Atlanta, stuff like that. So I think when artists wants to come here, I know artists probably don't want to feel like they're being lowball, but I think as promoters we need to talk to them and find ways to negotiate and come to some kind of understanding that, hey, you come to the Bahamas, it's not an NBA stadium where you're gonna go in and then we're gonna sell 28,000 tickets or 30,000 tickets. Don't have that number. So I think it needs to be some kind of a mutual respect and agreement where we could say, hey, this is what I anticipate. If it goes this way, we could do this. I just think we need to negotiate better. Because I think when we don't negotiate, we end up driving up the cost of a single ticket trying to cover 5 to 6 people, because we know we don't have the numbers. And I think that's what caused a lot of these stuff to have low attendance and cause promoters to end up losing big money. Sometimes the artists may come and nobody, like the people that they think will be there ain't there, so it brings also shame on their brand also. So it's a double-edged sword, right? So I think it needs to go back to negotiating, and it really needs and both parties need to understand that we want the best for both. It just can't be where one get what they need and the next one is left holding the bag.
Do you think that artists are open to that negotiation though? I mean, like, I don't have a lot of experience myself negotiating with artists. Do we think that they understand the market, or are there just assumptions being made about the market in the Bahamas?
Well, they've been getting away with it for a long time now, so we are the nation with the big red nose right now, honestly. So if it's been happening for a while, and I guess promoters go and probably start to do it now, it'll be some kind of a standoffish. But at the end of the day, you either gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. That's just the way it is. So some people are not just gonna go there to lose thousands of dollars trying to prove that they can bring an artist in. They know it really don't make economic sense. Either they do it or they don't. Or somebody else, like we've been saying, somebody else probably will take a chance and do it. So most smart promoters and business people will most definitely try their hardest to negotiate to make sure that everybody wins instead of just somebody just walking away with everything and the next person holding the bag.
Do you think that your carnival product can survive or thrive with just local entertainment?
No.
Why?
No, it basically it can't, because when you Trinidad and the other carnival and the carnival nations that been doing it for so long, they already put a staple on carnival, on the name of carnival. Whether you can't go around it. Whether at this point, if you mention carnival, the people who basically goes to carnival, the first nation will come to mind is Trinidad, point blank period. And then you have they already have the carnival market in terms of artists, the music. If you do a carnival, you tell me you're just gonna have your local people. I don't think that's gonna fly, because that nation and other nations like Barbados, you have Grenada, they already put a staple on the carnival name and has artists that brings music from it. The people who flying into any country would still wants to at least see one or two of those artists. That's just the way it is. You can't go around it.
I don't disagree with you. I know I've had inquiries on Bahamas Carnival Guide about concerts or artists, if I know if anybody's coming. And I think one of the things that hurts us in Bahamas Carnival is just the lateness of everything, of how everything gets organized so late and announcements go out late. And I think this is something we've talked about a lot, is we can't wait to announce things because people plan their carnival trips early. And yeah.
Okay. So basically when she asked the question about do I think carnival could survive without an international artist? Basically, what I was saying is when people basically see the word carnival, I know what they think about. So you can, I think in terms of what she's basically saying, as in having a concert or having a concert with just Bahamian artists. That's what I mean. But if you're not having a concert, you definitely could actually have a carnival without having a soca artist, a big soca artist. Now, if you're gonna have a concert, it has to be where you have one of them. So but you can, if you're not having a concert, you're just doing the road, you're doing fetes, of course you can't do it without them. But if you're gonna open up the box, so you're gonna have a concert, most definitely you'll have to have one of the soca artists from one of those countries.
Well, not just the artists, but talent, international talent, because I understand that several events for the Bahamas Carnival FETE Weekend, June 4th through 10th, are providing entertainment from outside of the Bahamas. So throughout the Caribbean, they're bringing artists or talent from throughout the Caribbean to participate. Is it feasible? Do you think that our Bahamian talent can support a weekend of activities without the introduction of outside entities? And that was actually the question.
It could, but international people, like I said before, international people coming in would still whether it's talent as in DJ, someone who hosts, or something, they still wants to see someone that has a name or brand within the carnival realm internationally.
Someone they're familiar with.
Yes. So you could do it. I could guarantee you, a lot of people, so they still want to see some, like you say, familiarity of an international person or well-known person within the carnival realm.
I guess we can talk about mechanics of Bahamas Carnival FETE Weekend and where that derived from. How did you come about being a part of that collective?
Most of the promoters who came and stepped up to give locals and international people a great experience because of their experience that they have by going to carnival and doing carnival. Like myself, before carnival was introduced to the Bahamas, we all decide that, hey, it'll make sense to not just be, just don't have be competing, but let's make sure we work together to give our guests a good experience. And I think that was one of the best decisions we've ever made. It's worked very well from inception. We had a lot of great feedback. The guests and our international people, they really enjoyed it. So I think it's something that is really good and is going to continue to grow and get bigger. I think it gives us the thought and the mindset that we don't need to sit at the table, but the table will be sitting with us.
It is true.
Yeah.
We just brought our own table and set up chairs.
Yep.
I love that we brought our own table and set up chairs for it.
That's it.
So Bahamas Carnival FETE Weekend, June 4th through 10th in Nassau, Bahamas. CO Entertainment, Hello Moving Cruise. What time is that event and how long is it?
Well, we're going to start our boarding process, pre-party time boarding process is going to start about 7:30 and hopefully by 8:45 to 9 we'll be leaving. So you're looking at being on the water for at least about 3 hours.
So Hello Moving Cooler.
I always had a
Cruise.
great
I have
time.
to get used to saying that. Hello Moving. So you've always had a great time at that event? I had a blast last year. I definitely had a blast last year. The DJs, the entertainment was, they were on point. I loved the Rake and Scrape segment. There were a lot of celebrities on board on the low.
Most definitely. We raking and scraping again. Can't come to the Bahamas and not rake and scrape.
And
hopefully Dahlia will make it this year though.
Yeah, thanks for calling me out. I hope to be able to come by and say hello.
That is funny. You're gonna I'm not gonna touch that one. We have a lot of responsibilities during that weekend, and so if you don't see us, please don't feel any type of way. We are making sure that this cog that is Bahamas Carnival FETE Weekend continues to move smoothly.
Yeah, and that's, I want to bring it back to the Rake and Scrape for a second, because from the beginning of Bahamas Carnival, from when I started participating more actively in Bahamas Carnival, I always felt like there's room for the Bahamian culture to be included in Bahamas Carnival in some way. I know that there's a lot of discussions about, or in the past there was, about the competition between Junkanoo and Carnival, which I actually don't think it's a competition. It's two completely different entities. But I often wish that there was more Bahamas in Bahamas Carnival. And I think one of the ways that some of these events have done that is by incorporating a segment of Bahamian music, as part of the set, because I think it's really important and it's a way to introduce Rake and Scrape, this other genre of music that a lot of people are not familiar with, to our international guests. CO, I know that you do that on your boat, but is there any other ways that we could do better? I think as a whole, Bahamas Carnival FETE Weekend.
Well, it will take time to basically sit down and brainstorm how you can incorporate more of it. But at this time we have so much other big fish to fry right now. So I guess when the tides really turn, we definitely could sit down and find ways to incorporate it. Now, I had an idea to incorporate some more Bahamian culture to Hello Moving Cooler Cruise, but I want it to be a surprise, so I don't think I would say it here.
That's fair. Dahlia, to your point, I think that the most important thing is that the promoters take responsibility to actively ensure that Bahamian elements are introduced into their product. Now, one of the things that I think that is important is making sure that we are playing the music of the island that we're in, right? Because Jamaica has Jamaica Carnival, and they have dancehall artists that are on the road during that time. Additionally, dancehall artists have now started, well, not now, but have long since participated in producing soca records. But now you're seeing more of an abundance of artists participating in that pastime because they understand that is bringing tourism to their islands and is giving them an opportunity to reach a greater market. The same thing can be said and done with Bahamian music, because if you listen to Bahamian music and you listen to Grenada Jab Jab, we have the same cadence. We use the same, we use a lot of the same instrumentation. So it's easy for us to transition from Buyu, I can't pronounce it, Bayu or whatever. I can't pronounce the French one, but from the Lucian sound and the Grenadian sound, it's easy for us to transition right into rake and scrape very smoothly. And a lot of people from those regions enjoy the rake and scrape music. It's us. We have to introduce our audience. We are responsible for their experience. So we hire the right DJs. We make sure that in our marketing and promotion that we're using the songs so that by the time they get to the Bahamas, they know at least some of the music. And it goes back to making sure that radio, not only locally, internationally, and also all of these DSPs, digital streaming platforms, have the music so that people can discover it. And this is, again, this goes into marketing, planning, and execution.
Africa, could I weigh in? Because this Bahamian music thing being something that was being discussed for a long time, and why it can't be this and why it can't be that. Could I give you a reason on why it's like that? You have a country of less than 1 million people, right? And then you have a country that really has a really low migrating rate, very low. So when it comes to market like the US or the UK, with what is big with music, your culture, your music cannot really be exposed, because it ain't like where certain countries in the Caribbean, they have thousands and thousands of people live that migrates all over the place. So when you migrate, you take your culture, you take your food, you take all. So that's the reason why some other cultures, the majority of them, is why the music, the food, and all that stuff is everywhere. Because if we live somewhere and you have where there's 5 of us, 6,000 of them, who you think will have more influence?
Of course.
Numbers is power. So that's basically the thing. If you had it where you had 100,000 Bahamians live this place, that place, your culture will spread more. But we don't migrate like that. Bahamians, 1 or 2 things, we jump like going back home. So it's that all of that plays a big factor in why I'm not just even talking about music. I'm talking about culture wise. Why when people just think about the Bahamas, they just think about, oh, it's a nice place for tourists. Like they wouldn't think like how other countries think, oh yeah, the music, oh the food. So it's kind of that plays a big role.
I concur, but we are globalized with the amount of technology that we have. We now have a wider reach. So we have to be mindful when we're putting out content that the content that we're putting out is not only going to Bahamians or people in the local market, it's going to the world because it's on a global platform. So there are ways, even if we don't migrate the way we do, and even that in itself is not true. A lot of the times, Bahamians, when they migrate, they also assimilate because there's not enough of them there. There are very small communities in various places, and in addition, when we look at immigration laws over the course of the last 40 or 50 years, we realized that I remember a time when I lived in New York, nobody flew their Caribbean flag. Nobody flew their Caribbean flag or talked about being Caribbean. A lot of times.
What? Are you serious? In New York?
To assimilate.
Queens?
Yes.
You sure? You sure?
They get you to assimilate because of fear of deportation or discrimination based on your culture.
But that don't mean
it wasn't until
that don't mean the food and culture wasn't there.
2000s that we started seeing people actually flying their flags and representing their culture or their heritage.
While what you said, what I'm saying to you is they mightn't have been blatant with it, but deep in those communities, people was already eating their food. They already know about their culture. I'm saying
inside the communities, but not
whether we like it or not.
Again, we are more globalized now, so we're getting more exposure now. We know more about the communities. Before, if you wasn't a part of the community, you didn't know.
So let me give you my 5 cents on this. I say 5 because it's more than 2. Couple of things. I think both of you are correct in your takes. Also, the first time I heard Rake and Scrape, I was not in Canada with my Bahamian friend. It was actually the first time I went to the Bahamas with his brother, who still is very much a Junkanoo guy, Rake and Scrape, Junkanoo music. And he made me a CD for me to take home with me after the first time I went to the Bahamas. Today, I still wish that I had that CD, because when you look up Rake and Scrape music, like on Spotify, for example, it's very limited. So
right.
even if I when I want to listen to Bahamian music, unless I know exactly what I'm searching for, like if I know the name of a song, I can find it on YouTube, or if somebody sends me a song. But I just find that Rake and Scrape as a genre isn't out in the world as much as other genres. I also think that in the Bahamas, people listen to lots of different music, and even, maybe I don't want to generalize, but younger people don't even really want to listen to Rake and Scrape. This last time I was in the Bahamas, in the car that I rented, there was a Rake and Scrape CD in the car, and I didn't have a radio, so that's all I listened to the whole time. And I was riding around with a friend, and he's like, "Why do you have this? Don't you have anything else?"
Right.
And if that's the attitude, that doesn't help the genre grow in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Again, this is a tourism product, and we need to think of it as such. So when we think of a tourism product, we have to encompass the musical culture of the island, because people travel for entertainment.
Most definitely. When you come on my boat, you hear Rake and Scrape. You just said we said it. So it's a tough thing. And I forgot one thing you said when you said, it's more of a global world now. You got the internet, a click of this. I'm telling you straight up. And at the end of the day, it still goes back to old school. If you could have something online, the best promotional tool is still person to person relation. Me being there, and I playing that every day, and you gotta hear that. Going on the internet, say, let me tell you, instead of being music, it's still got the impact of them being around me. I cooking my food, I playing my music, and I'm proud, and they gotta hear that. If they just hearing that every you have to hear that 4 times out of the week, I will have more influence than the internet. I'm sorry.
I agree.
Just the way it is.
I agree. I definitely agree.
When you go, I'll just say this. When you go to Queens, New York, and you're around 70, 80,000 of those people from further down south, they're going to play their music, they're going to eat their food, and everybody they going to have influence. That's what it is. We don't have the numbers. We just don't. And when we go places, we are more of a person who don't like, or people who don't like to feel like we intruding. That's just us. The people that I'm speaking of, I really like them because they impose their culture in will on you. So I think that's one of the big factors, honestly, for me.
Bahamas Carnival 2025, Bahamas Carnival FETE Weekend, June 4th through 10th. We will be getting blessed with the Rake and Scrape sound during Bahamas Carnival FETE Weekend. All of the promoters and DJs will actively be making sure that we encompass some Bahamian authenticity into the experience. Dahlia, as we bring this to a close, do you have any final words?
I'm looking forward to seeing what CO Entertainment is cooking up for us this year. You may just catch me on the boat this year, Cordero.
Oh, Lord, I pray, please.
But I am looking forward to seeing the fruits of your labor, because I know you work hard to put on these really fantastic events. I've attended several outside of the carnival season as well, and I always leave feeling completely satisfied with the experience. So that's one thing that you always provide.
Thank you, and thanks for having me. on Inside the Festival, and I hope I'll be back again before Bahamas Carnival FETE Weekend, June 4th to the 10th.
Now you can't leave just yet. You have to tell us how we can get tickets for this event.
Tickets are online at eventbrite.com, and yeah, that's it. That's for right now. That's the only place to get tickets from, is online. The ticket outlets and stuff will not have tickets until May 1st. So for everybody who's traveling in, you go to eventbrite.com, Hello Moving Cooler Cruise, and the tickets will be there for purchase.
All right, so this has been Inside the Festival with your host, Dahlia in Africa, along with our special guest today, Cordero Seymour from CO Entertainment. And you guys can check out the Moving Cooler Cruise happening June 6th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today's show has been brought to you in part by Bahamas Carnival FETE Weekend Collective, along with the Print Shop and Duce. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next week.